Hey, this is Robin. It is March 16th, 2023, and what I'm going to do today is I'm going to first drive around La Posa South and show you how it's thinning out, how many rigs are left out here, and then I'm going to hit some key spots in Quartzsite to see what it's like now. Are there businesses still going? Are there people still around? And what's it like halfway through the month of March? And here we go. So I'm heading down one of the side washes, heading away from the highway towards where the dump stations are, the dumpsters, and the lit cactus. And then we'll come back up the main road. You know, maybe next year one of the things I'll do is do a very specific route during the peak of the season and then retrace that route this time of year so you can see the difference. But as you can see on the screen, not a lot of rigs left. There are a few clumps, and to account for that this year, I remember last year it was damn hot exactly a year ago. I was here camping in the spot when it was called Dead End Camp, and there were a couple of times where I absolutely had to fire up that generator and turn on the AC for an hour just to get some relief from the heat. I recall it, maybe the temperature gauge was in the 80s, but it certainly felt like it was well in the 90s at the time. And this year is very, very different. As a matter of fact, I'm looking at the forecast. You can see I'm wearing a jacket today. It's 12:30, and it was sitting in the shade. It was just a little bit nippy. Anyway, looking at the days remaining in the month of March, heading into April, there isn't a single day that makes it out of the 70s. I think the warmest day looks like the last day of the month. Looks like it's forecasted to be 79. Oh, I am gonna go all the way down here to where the lit cactus is, and I do believe, I'm not an authority on it though, but I believe the lit cactus, their last real event, I think is tomorrow night. Be the 17th. It'd be I think St. Patrick's Day. I believe they're having a potluck and the usual campfire. So I'm going to guess that's going to be pretty well attended. You know, I've been doing this, riding around a lot for 2 years here, and I'm very confident during the day like this. But I got to tell you, Jim and I were going to the lit cactus last week, and it was just twilight. The sun was just going down, and we got utterly lost. It's so easy to get disoriented out here in the desert when the light goes away. No matter how familiar you think you are with it, even short distances can be challenging. You can see those, I hope you can see those massive cumulus clouds over the mountains there. It's just absolutely gorgeous. We've had quite a few storm cells in the area the past couple of days, and the most violent ones have completely missed us. We got grazed a little bit with a little bit of rain last night, but not much. They were warning us of up to 1 inch size hail and warning that vehicles will be damaged, but we did not get any of that. That's the lit cactus over there to the right. And it's hard to tell now because it's daytime and that cactus ain't lit. But here's one of the telltale signs of where the lit cactus is. The easy way to find it is come down that main road, and after the asphalt, and I use the term asphalt loosely, disappears and it's a dirt road on your right here, you'll see a little group of rocks, and I'm going to turn the car right to it so you know what I'm talking about, that are painted orange. Well, let's see, there they are, right in the center of your screen, a little pyramid of orange rocks that signifies this is the driveway to turn in for the lit cactus. So it's real hard to miss. And now we're heading on this is the main drag before it turns into the paved part. We're heading back towards the front of the LTVA. And you can see here something resembling pavement begins. And here it is. Well, it looks to me like there's quite a bit of activity at the dump station. And certainly this time of year, I'm going to guess that most of the people going through the dump station are people leaving the area, leaving the LTVA. Right now it marks just, if you have the season pass, and the LTVA season pass, it's good for just about another 29 days. It's good until April 15th. And then you can get a pass for $89 for the off season, but you cannot stay in one place during that. You have to move every 2 weeks, and I believe the movement requirement is 30 miles. So I guess theoretically you could, bounce back and forth between the LTVA here and one of the LTVAs near Yuma and go back and forth every 2 weeks. But I'm guessing the temperatures are between 100 and 120 in the summer, so very few people do that. And you probably couldn't see it, but there's the guy that's here every year that has his area marked off with giant boulders, and it kind of looks like he might be getting ready to go there. He's very few things are outside as they usually are, so I bet he's getting ready to call it a season. And it's not it looks like quite a few rigs, but keep in mind this is the front of the LTVA along the main drag. It's one of the first places really to fill up, and there's a lot more open space here than there has been since I arrived back in November. There's a lot of things I love about Quartzsite, but the main thing is I'll arrive right around the middle of November, and the first thing that I love is Thanksgiving and Christmas. Nomads are very quick to put together celebrations that are inclusive of anyone, and these holidays can be really special. It's a potluck bonanza for Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. Heck, you could probably find Hanukkah celebrations, and I really enjoy that. And it's a great way to get to know new people at the beginning of the season. And overall, in Quartzsite, there's this anticipatory buildup and momentum that happens starting towards the end of November and working towards a fevered pitch to around January 20th, when the big tent show opens. The big tent is the hallmark pinnacle event in Quartzsite, and people come from all over the country, maybe all over the world for this event. And the momentum builds, and it just gets more and more exciting with more and more people, and things are busier and busier, and there are more and more things going on, and it's just really, really exciting. And then the big tent happens, and things just sort of settle a little bit. They maintain kind of high, and then steadily decrease. People start leaving, and things start settling down for the end of the season. And by the time that time comes around, you're ready for things to slow down. You're ready for less lines. You're ready to go to Silly L's and not have to wait an hour for a table. And here we are at the entrance. Quite a bit of traffic coming in. A little surprised by that, but then you look across to the Tyson Wash LTVA, and it's real sparse over there, guys. It's very sparse. And I'm thinking that's probably going to change next year if they end up completing the work on the 8 lanes of, I'm looking at the fences right there and the construction site. If they complete the 8 lanes of dump station and water stations, I wonder how much business will shift. Campers will shift over to Tyson Wash, because I'm sure they will shut down the old ones in La Posa South. No doubt in my mind. And you can't see all the way to the side. I look to the left here, I just see a small smattering of rigs out there. And, right, if I look directly left now, I can't see any. So this is, coming close to the end of the season. Had the weather pattern's been different, this would be the end of the season. But like I said, it's ideal conditions for the next 2 weeks. Highs in the low to mid 70s, lows overnight in the 50s. It's ideal camping weather. It's perfect. And I mentioned in a previous video, this weather pattern is great for Quartzsite businesses, because normally it starts getting hot, mass exodus, and their business falls off, and they have to work. Nothing's going to happen until next season. But right now, they probably got some steady business. But we'll see about that, because we're about to get into town here, and we will see what things look like. And we will start with Tyson Wells area. In the Tyson Wells area, here's the famous little Quartzsite sign on the right that you can't see because my big fat face is in the way. Sorry about that. So it's Kuhn Street in Tyson Wells, and that's where the big tent is, and the Tyson Wells marketplace where all the vendors show up, and it's a city of little shops and vendors that it's fun to spend time there, especially during the peak. But we'll see what's left there on March 16th. There will be things open there, but it's going to be a lot smaller than it was. So here we are. We just make a left onto Kuhn Street just before we get to the overpass going over I-10. Usually on this corner here that I'm looking at, the big vendor there during the season is selling wood, firewood, but they're no longer there. So as you look out there, you don't see too many tents over the right. And during the regular time, this area is absolutely packed. So let's move me up there. And I want to see if my favorite tent is still open. And you might ask, what's your favorite tent? It's K&K Kitchen Supply. They have all these great gadgets. The guy that runs the place goes on a mission every off season to buy the best quality kitchen things that he can find at reasonable prices. He applies both those criteria rigorously. You know, I forgot what I was asking him about. I was asking him about some particular gadget that I wanted that I thought he had in previous years. And he said, yeah, I did. And I'm not carrying it because I can get it now, but they've raised the price to a level that I don't think is reasonable. So the Tyson Wells RV Park and Market Center, that's the game store right on the right. And, walk in, it seems it's an amazing, huge game store. Every game you could possibly imagine. But those are actually the people that own and operate this entire area here. So let's do a little, see if we can just drive through the back here without getting into trouble and see what's going on this time of year. What's open, what's not open. Sometimes I'll get, if there's a shipment or something or a truck, so we're not going to drive down there. We're just going to look down there. Up on the right here is the discount grocery place. That is still open. Looks like a CBD place. And the discount grocery thing is a fabulous thing in Quartzsite. There's also Ken's Discount Grocery, which is up on West Main. There are two places that you can get deeply discounted, mostly dry grocery goods. And yes, they are cheap because they are mostly expired. But let me tell you this, an expired box of Kellogg's fill-in-the-blank cereal tastes just as good and just as fresh as a unexpired box. And if you want to buy that cereal at Albertsons, it's going to cost you about almost $7. If you want to buy it here, it's going to cost you $2. So it's pretty amazing. So let's see. I'm going to go to the right here. I never go to this ice cream place because I feel like it's way, way, way overpriced. But they seem to do a good business every year. Now, to the left here is Beer Bellies, the adult daycare center. And they have burgers and fries and beer and wine and entertainment. And it's a major place that people go for entertainment. Now, if you look straight in front, I'm going to pull up here to the fence. And it looks like a big, empty, boring, open field. But this is actually the place that the big tent happens. You see here, it looks like those white poles sticking up. That whole area, a couple of football fields length, is covered with a big white tent. And it's a carnival. It's amazing. But right now, it just looks like a big old empty field, which is what it is right now. And we'll turn around here. And we'll head back out to Kuhn Street. See, beer, wine, and food, homemade ice cream. It's all right next to each other here. Now, the other place worth pointing out here to me is on the right here, this tent with the furniture out front is called K&B. And there's two of these. There's one here, and it's got all kinds of great RV stuff and camping stuff. It's kind of a camper's hardware store kind of place. And there's another one right next to Ken's Discount Grocery on West Main. They're same company, different locations. These big buildings on the left here with the big garage doors on them, that's where the big spaces where they have the Rock and Gem show during the season, where that seems kind of boring, rocks and gems, but until you get in there and see some of the amazing crystal things that they sell for thousands of dollars, it's just amazing what nature provides. So now we're going to make a left here on 95, which is also in Quartzsite called Central. So Central and 95 are synonymous. And we're crossing I-10 now, and here we come to the big number one intersection in Quartzsite, the very center of Quartzsite, Arizona, which is Main Street in Central, or Main Street in 95. We're going to go straight through and go north, see a little bit of what's up here. But during peak season, if this were January 10th, there would be a lot more traffic at this intersection. There's a sign up here on the right. I don't know if you can see it clearly on the screen, but well, you got to kind of look through some trees and stuff. There's a big old Radio Shack sign up there on a pole, and you're a nerd like me. It's like, great, there's a Radio Shack in Quartzsite. Well, no, there's no Radio Shack. There's like a satellite business down there, and I don't even know if it's open. There is no Radio Shack. So if you see the sign, don't get excited. It's not. There's no Radio Shack there. So nothing much interesting up here. This is Arizona Financial Bank is right here. If you want to get an ATM that doesn't limit you to a couple $100, you want more than that, go there. But oddly enough, I've never had it work for me on a Sunday for whatever reason. I don't know if that's coincidence or intentional. There's a water kiosk right there that I like a lot. And here is the probably most famous place for getting propane and dump station water and everything. It's called RV Pit Stop, and it's no longer the only game in town, but it's probably the oldest one. And when it's really busy in there, it's amazing. The rigs backed up on the street to get in, but they push things through pretty damn quickly. So here is the Grub Steak, which is a restaurant that I've heard a ton of good things about, but I haven't been there. Someday I'll make it there and do a review on it, but I've heard good things about Grub Steak. And right here is the newest competitor in the dump and propane business. So they have big, wide stations there for dumping, and there's a fresh water station on the other side where those blue billboards are. And these guys are here in the frame, ready to do your propane. They're new this year, and they do a good job. I've been there many times. But there is another place I'm going to mention when we pass it. So now I'm going to go back, going the other way, right back into town, because we've kind of reached the outskirts of anything that's interesting. One thing that is, well, there are two interesting things if we continue to go that way. One would be up further on the left is the landfill, the county landfill that anyone can use. And I don't know off the top of my head the days and the hours, but it's a little odd, so you'll want to check it out before you head out there. One of the things you want to watch out for is, if you're camping and you want to get rid of trash, do not go to some random business and throw stuff into their dumpster. There's, I think there's a city ordinance that it's a $500 fine for doing that. It's like a theft of service. So I would be careful doing that. So we're passing that bank I mentioned on the left here. And we are going to make a left on Main Street. So we're definitely heading south now, so we're going to go on east part of Main Street in Quartzsite. When we make the turn, you notice a big empty lot on the right. The corner has a big empty lot, and these lots are not empty during peak season, during January. They are covered with brand new RVs. I think, if I remember right, on the corner here they had a bunch of Tiffins, and I was with the prices on them, and they were $400,000 and $500,000 RVs that were out there for sale. They are no longer here. So up on the left here is called Quiet Times, and it is a place where people get packages mailed, and I think they charge $3 or $5 a package. This is it for them. They are finished. They are not going to be back next year. I haven't heard whether they sold the business or not. Roadrunner Market on the left is one of the local markets. On the right here is the Main Street Laundry, the biggest laundromat in town. And up on the left here is yet another local market. So the first one we just passed is called Roadrunner, and this one is called Coyote. It's not a coincidence. They are competitors just like the Roadrunner and the Coyote were on Saturday morning cartoons. And a couple of things here. You'll see on the right, Patty's RV Park. They also are in the propane business, and they may not have the very cheapest propane prices, but by far they have the finest customer service as far as I'm concerned. And what do I mean by that? I mean they run up to your car like it's the old Texaco days from the 50s, and they take your tanks are in the back, they take them out, they fill them up, they put them back in your car. They take your money right from your driver window. Discount Solar right here. I'm pulling in here for a reason, because these guys are my heroes. I love Discount Solar. They are fantastic in terms of these guys are licensed electricians. They don't play around. There's no guessing about if they know what they're doing. And they have a showroom with equipment in there, and let me tell you a couple things about that. Pricing. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but the top of the line components for charge controllers, things like that, it's a company called Victron, and they sell Victron charge controllers, inverters, things of that nature, shunts. And the way Victron works is they're unique in a couple of ways. One is they control the pricing. You have to become a qualified Victron dealer to sell their products, and you can't set your own price. So you can go in here, you can buy something, rest assured you are paying the same price you will pay on Amazon. But more important than that is Victron does not have its own support for its products. In other words, if you buy a $500 Victron MPPT controller and something goes wrong with it, you can't call Victron and get help. You have to call the place that you bought it, and they are responsible for providing technical support for you. And there are lots of Victron dealers, and they are not all created equally. These guys know what they're doing. So if you buy from them and something goes wrong, you can call them, or better yet, if you're staying the season in Quartzsite and something goes wrong, you can walk in there or bring the thing in and talk to them about it and get help. So that's really important. Another big solar place is Solar Bills, and I hear equally good things about Solar Bill. I just don't have a lot of direct experience with them. So we're going to go back the other way on Main Street, and we are going to get to that main intersection for a third time. We're going to cross Central, and we're going to see the west side of Main Street and what that's like. You can see there's a moderate amount of activity, but if you look in the parking lots, I'm looking at the parking lot of Coyote Fresh. There's a few cars in there, but there are plenty of open spaces. And that's not the case during peak season. And as I glance over here, I'm careful to watch traffic, and I'm going to glance in the parking lot there. Kind of the same deal in Roadrunner. There's a smattering of cars in there. It's not dead, but there are plenty of open spaces. Now here on the right is it's Taco Mio. And I tell you, Taco Mia and I have had hit and miss things. You know, I went in last year and I had just an amazing breakfast burrito. And then I went in again this year and it was not so good. And can I explain exactly why? No, I can't. It just wasn't as good. So it's hit or miss. So if you go, I hope you hit. I hope it does great. Now, down here on the left, just preparing you, is going to be Silly Al's Pizza. You wouldn't think in the middle of southwest Arizona in the desert you're going to find a really good pizza place. Well, it just is. What can I say? Right there, Silly Al's Pizza, amazing pizza, and it's a universally held opinion. Across the way from that is Dorothy and Toto's ice cream place. It's great ice cream. And it's pretty cool. Now, there's plenty of RV parks here. I look into Holiday Palms, and I gotta tell you, Holiday Palms still looking pretty full. I mean, I can see open spots, but they're still pretty busy. Again, this is factor in that the people are staying longer because the weather is just ideal right now, and it's hard to leave. This is the end of Main Street where there's gas stations and fast food. And this is where one of the two exit and entrances to I-10 is. And this is a big exit and entrance for truckers coming through. Here's this big yellow tire. That's where the other K&B is in Ken's grocery outlet. They're right next to each other. So there's the other K&B, kind of the hardware store for campers and RVers, and right next to it is Ken's outlet. And he has pallets of dry goods that are recently expired that are a fraction of what they cost in the grocery store. It's a great way to save money on dry goods. I've really done well doing that. There's a Pilot right here on the left, truck stop, and next to the truck stop is our McDonald's. Outback Pizza, another pizza place that this is their second year here. It's sort of across the street from McDonald's, but not directly across the street. You can find it, but the Chamber of Commerce is actually right across the street. They're a great resource, by the way. Anyway, Outback Pizza. Year one, we went the first couple of weeks. The pizza was limp. I was very thumbs down. But they figured out how to work their pizza oven since then. And I went again this year, and they sold me. They absolutely sold me. They did great. And they're as good. The pizza's as good as Silly Al's. That's not a great thing for Silly Al's, but it seems to me they both kept equally busy this season. So I'm turning here. There's Carl Jr.'s on the corner. So you got Carl Jr.'s, Burger King, McDonald's, and this is a brand new place this year, Terrible's. And Terrible's is a recognizable brand in this area of the country. They do, it's a gas station and convenience store, and they're known for their clean restrooms and good place to buy kind of snack food, things like that. And generally, their gas prices are competitive. There's a side-by-side here. During peak season, it's a sea of side-by-sides. A lot of people use that for their into-town transportation from BLM land and the LTVAs, and they are ubiquitous. And today, I've only seen one, so that tells you something right there. Again, this family restaurant place, I've heard good things about. Green one on the right, haven't been. Need to do that. So that is going to complete the tour of what Quartzsite is like in the middle of March. And probably the next Quartzsite tour I'm going to do will be in the fall of this year, probably sometime in November. So I look forward to doing that. And I hope everybody has a wonderful day, and I hope you enjoyed Quartzsite.